I just want to give a heads up. Instead of the normal intro for this video, we have a sponsorship this time, and it's...
Copernicus Ballsack, he's your attorney, winning a lawsuit and solving the case. If you got problems, man, you should call him. Copernicus Ballsack, attorney at law.
This is Copernicus Ballsack. Have you been injured by a bus, or maybe a car, or maybe you got cancer? You can call my office, 1-800-BALLSACK. Also, mesothelioma, all this shit. Our number again is 512.
One of my OG customers, Dan, was with me from the beginning using the oral formula of our ecdysterone concentrate. And then in the meantime, he had a few things happen. He moved, changed states where he lived, broke his collarbone. Came back, we had introduced some new products, and he wanted to try the sublingual. He was not getting the effects that he saw with the oral formula. And for me, I get a 1-to-1 effect on that. In fact, I haven't used the oral formula regularly, or hardly at all, for 6-8 months now. The sublingual is a little more convenient. I like the taste a little better. It's easier for me to get more, flavoring to mask some of that in there. And we don't use black pepper extract on it, so it's not quite as spicy, let's say. For me, the sublingual is the way to go. I can throw it in my car, drop, good to go. I like to take a double dose before bed if I'm doing bedroom activities, or if I'm heading to the gym, I like to take a double dose for pumps. But otherwise, you can use just one dose. Obviously, I have an unlimited supply, so I just take what I want when I want. Try to get 2 or 3 doses in a day, usually a double dose, something like that. But it was a little bit of a mystery as to why Dan wasn't getting more absorption and more results from his sublingual ecdy when he got such great results from the oral ecdy. So I went ahead and sent him a sample, another bottle of the oral, just to test again to make sure it was still good for him and that he was getting what he needed to out of it. And he found that he was getting tingling in his upper traps, like kind of a sign to him that when he's getting a good pump, that seems to be what happens. He can feel that blood flow and everything increase. I don't get that so much, but the vascularity and stuff increases. So I asked him, I said, are you doing anything that would negate the pump benefits of ecdysterone? Do you have a lot of caffeine? And he said, yes. I have a big thermos of caffeine that I drink all day, every day, and several of those, I think, if I remember right. But he said he drinks caffeine all day, every day. And I said, well, still, with the doses of this that you're taking, you should be getting something out of it. And then I found this. Just a quick Google search, just a thought off the top of my head. Because I thought, if you're smoking and the nicotine smoke is in your mouth, I would think that there's, for lack of a better way of putting it, causing vasoconstriction and just blocking, those membranes from opening up and really getting the full use out of that ecdysterone. So I looked it up, and surely enough, it says on Google, conversely, smoking can decrease the sublingual or buccal, which is just down in here. So sublingual's under the tongue, buccal's down in here where you'd put a chew. Absorption of medications due to vasoconstriction of the blood vessels. Now, this isn't just the same as having some coffee and having some general vasoconstriction. This is actually the effect of the nicotine in the mouth, specifically the smoke, the harshness and stuff that kind of builds up and causes that to contract. So I asked Dan, I said, hey, do you smoke? Do you smoke nicotine? And he says, yeah, I do. I mix a natural tobacco product in with my, other daily use products, which in his state is legal. So we'll just leave it there. And he says, I smoke all day from morning to night, all the way through. And I thought, well, I think we've kind of found our culprit here. Now, obviously, we're not going to ask anybody to change their whole lifestyle just so they can take ecdysterone and get benefits out of it. So I offered to send him the oral formula for somewhat of a discount, especially since he's been with us since the beginning. He declined and said, hey, I'll pay like anybody else. I just want to make sure it works. And, the truth is, I'm still going to send you extra. So if you're having this issue, let me know, or at least know going in that you're going to get a lot better results out of the oral formula because it's just absorbing through the digestive system. There's a lot more mucous membranes for that to absorb through, and it affects it differently if you smoke. Caffeine, that's another story. I've always said having ecdysterone or something that's going to produce nitric oxide is like having a teeter-totter with caffeine on one side, and if this is vasodilation going up, the more caffeine you have, the more your vasodilation goes down, say. And if you have ecdy, it'll help bring that vasodilation back up, but it's like putting a humidifier and a dehumidifier in a room and having them battle it out, see who wins. Credit Stephen Wright. So, with that in mind, let's just take a look real quick at a couple little articles. This is the one here mentioned on Google. And it's just like you would think. You know, it explains, gives diagrams, explains, you know, the different layers, the mucus layer, the epithelium, the mucosal tissue, etc., and how all that works and where there's going to be problems. I'll link this in the description below. Here's just another basic doctorly article on one of these medical, you know, pages. But it talks about some things that can limit sublingual absorption. So you might have some better luck with a oral medication or a supplement. You're definitely going to have better results with an injectable, maybe even a transdermal compared to buccal or sublingual delivery if you are a heavy smoker, if you use a lot of caffeine, that sort of thing. And everybody is just a little different in how they react. So if you have an issue and you're not seeing results from my products like you would like to see, please let me know. I'm happy to look into it. I'm happy to help out. It's called Ultimate Formulations for a reason. The kick that I get out of all this is the problem solving. So you're not hurting my feelings by telling me, hey, this isn't working for me, I need some help. You're actually encouraging me to learn something new. So here we have it. Now, that said too, Dan also wasn't seeing a lot of noticeable effects from the Viking gains or the quick cuts, but he explained to me that with the quick cuts, he was waking up with a dehydration headache. Well, think about it. If you drink coffee all day long every day and smoke nicotine all day long every day, you're already dehydrated. That's a lot of dehydrating chemicals. I drink my fair share of coffee. I drink at least 8 cups a day, okay? So I understand. I also stay very hydrated with a little bit of salt in my flavored water, things like that I drink throughout the day. Now, that does not cause me to wake up with a dehydration headache, but what's happening is you're already dehydrated, and what Quick Cuts does, it's just a berberine formula. So I'm going to change the name. I thought a few months back, hey, let's make these products as mainstream as we can. We'll do some mainstream advertising, try to put it in a way that people can understand. Gains and cuts, this boost, you know. But I'm not appealing to that niche of people. This is just a little too far into the nerdy fitness biohacking type. It's not all the way in there, but it's a little bit of that for supplements. And people, I think, will just understand, hey, this is sublingual complex berberine with a component of complex ecdysterone. And what berberine does when it's truly effective is it actually regulates the amount of carbs in your system. It not only will put carbs into your muscles, but it'll actually flush them out too. So if you haven't had a lot of carbs throughout the day, or you've done a lot of anaerobic activity like a heavy workout, a long high volume workout, you're already going to be flushing out carbs. So what the Quick Cuts is for is, number one, berberine will help remodel the gut bacteria to make your gut more healthy. That's good if you're having oral products also. Now, it will also kick out a lot of those carbs like I just said. So think about it. If you're already dehydrated from caffeine and nicotine, and now you don't have any carbs, every carbohydrate that you store, your body stores 2.7, every 1 gram of carbohydrate that you store, your body stores 2.7 grams of water. That's a big way of how we stay hydrated. And in fact, that's what the berberine or Quick Cuts, whatever you want to call it, is for, is it's basically carb cleanup. So if you've overdone it, I'm a little puffy and smooth today, you know, not real tight and everything, I could have a dose of that tonight. 1 dose before bed, and when I get up tomorrow, I'll be tighter. My muscles look tighter because I've flushed out some carbs, I've flushed out some water, and that's what's happening. With the Viking gains, Dan told me he doesn't feel much from it. Well, it's not a feel product. This is a long-term, 2 weeks plus, it's an L-carnitine. It's acetyl L-carnitine, again, complexed in hydroxypropyl beta-cyclodextrin, and then mixed with a portion of ecdysterone to help deliver that better. And it is sublingual, so he's not getting much out of it. If you have trouble getting ecdysterone, the small amount that's in, comparatively small amount, versus oral versus sublingual, and you can't absorb the sublingual ecdysterone, the acetyl-L-carnitine is going to be even more of a challenge because it's a high milligram amount, which does not make it ideal for sublingual. Complexing it hydroxypropyl beta cyclodextrin raises the molecular weight, makes it much more ideal, but if you have issues with sublingual delivery, you're not going to absorb much of that, and it's just going to be like taking oral acetyl-L-carnitine. It's nothing special if you're not absorbing it. So keep that in mind. Unfortunately, there are people out there that just aren't going to get much out of the sublingual, but I think it's rare. This is the first time I've heard where someone's really had this much trouble. I can't think of another case directly. I've had, I think, one other person tell me they do better on a double dose. Hey, me too, man. And one kid that said, hey, if I use your ecdysterone as a pre-workout, it's just the same to me as another pre-workout. And this kid was, 6 foot tall, 130 pounds, soaking wet, and about 19 years old. So, I don't know what to say about that other than maybe he's not experienced enough to even need it. You're in that early phase of just getting to the gym and stuff. So those are the two outliers I've heard from. Everybody else that I've given it to, that I've had some contact with, really likes it, really gets a nice pump, really has more energy in the gym, and a little more go where it counts in other areas too. So just keep that in mind. I want to make sure you're getting the best experience possible out of this. But reality is reality. There's only so much you can absorb if you are a heavy smoker, if you're a heavy caffeine drinker. So thanks, and I hope this helps some people out. And like I said, if you find yourself in this position, you're going to feel the ecdy boost if it's effective for you. And if not, and you can't absorb it that way, tell me. I'll send you a sample of the oral just to test it against, a small bottle for free. But if you think that's you already, just order the oral, and if you need a discount, hit me up. I'll do the best I can to still make it work for everybody. Unfortunately, in the supplement business, yes, the bulk of our cost for our supplements is raw materials and packaging and stuff like that, but mostly raw materials. But there are other fees and transaction fees and stuff they tack on for all of these, shop centers like Shopify, Etsy, credit card processors and stuff like that. So we can get that down as close as we can to still make it worth our while to do. But, I can't do that for everybody. But if you have a specific need, I will do my best to tailor it. If you're on hard times and you need some help and you just need some supplements and you can afford most of it, I'll do my best to help you out.